Hi everybody, this is Jim Aikin. In this video we're going to take a look at a few things that are happening or that can happen in this month's tutorial patch. If you haven't yet set up VCV Rack or downloaded this patch, there are instructions on how to do that in the text portion of this month's column. Right now we're looking at a set of 12 modules. There's nothing particularly sacred about these modules. Any of them could be replaced with a different module that would do something similar or perhaps something entirely different. In the top row we have a clock source, which is cleverly called clocked, a step sequencer called noteseek, and over here an audio mixer at the right side. In the lower row we have a macro module called strip, which we will be using in the third video in this month's series. And then we have an LFO, we have a VCO, we have a VCF and a VCA, and we have two ADSR envelopes. And that's the voice that you'll be listening to. Over here on the right, we have a tempo synchronized stereo delay, which you can see is attached to the mixer. The sends are here and the returns are there. And then down at the bottom, we have an audio output device, which sends audio to my hardware. So when we turn it on, it sounds like this. Now you'll notice that there are also a lot of patch cords connecting things together. So that's the essential point here. When you click the run button, you're going to hear the patch, but that's because of all the connections that are being made by the patch cord. When we click the run button, the sequencer starts stepping from left to right across its grid, and each time it hits a lighted square, the note plays. We could, of course, edit these lighted squares. We could click anywhere and add or subtract notes, but we'll use this patch for now. The sequencer, when it's stepping, sends two kinds of signals down to the voice modules. The green patch cord here is attached to a volt per octave jack, and these are usually labeled V/oct. They're calibrated to a standard value of 1 volt per octave. Now you have to understand these aren't real voltages, they're just numbers. As with the patch cords, what we're really talking about is a type of metaphor. The signals in VCV Rack act pretty much the way voltages act in a hardware analog modular synth, so we can safely call them voltages. The point of using 1 volt per octave signals is that your oscillator, which is down here, will be nicely tuned to a conventional musical scale. The other signals coming from the step sequencer are called gates. I'll have much more to say about gate signals in a future tutorial. For now, what you need to know is that a gate signal tells the receiving module to do something. It's like a start command or a start and then continue command. When these two ADSR envelope generators receive gate signals, they send out envelope contours to whatever they're patched to. In this case, you can see that this ADSR's output is going to the input, the frequency input of the VCF, and this one is going to the CV input of the VCA. This is a pretty simple linear setup. The clock source tells the sequencer to step through the stored notes. The sequencer tells the ADSRs to open up. The ADSR attached to the VCA tells the VCA to send the audio signal onto the mixer, and we hear the sound. Now, in future months, we're going to delve into all of these modules in some detail and talk about what all their features are. But at this point, I'm going to suggest simply that you have a little fun by fiddling around with the various controls in this patch to see what they do. Some of them will change the sound radically. Others won't do anything at all because the patch is not set up in such a way that they can have an effect. So we're going to try a few random adjustments here. I will talk while running the thing, so you may have to listen closely to hear what I'm saying. First, we're going to try changing the tempo with this knob up here. Okay, What else could we do? Well, while the sequencer is playing, we could adjust the length like this. Or how about making it longer? Okay, let's put the length back where it was originally, which is right there, halfway through. And you've already seen me click in the little squares to add and delete notes. We could also change the frequency of the VCO to make the sound higher or lower. Let's try that. And you couldn't see, but the reason I snapped this knob back to its default value, I did that by double clicking it. So that's always a good way to get back to your standard concert pitch. What else could we do? Oh, the filter. Let's play with the filter. Okay, that's interesting. How about the ADSR parameters? Now this one is controlling the filter, and it's controlling the filter because this knob has been turned up. If I turn this knob down to 0, which is the middle position, this ADSR will do nothing. So let's see what it starts out like. Very tight, snappy attack. Long attack. How about a long, that was the decay, I apologize. Musically it was an attack, but the knob is a decay. Let's make the attack longer. How about if we turn this knob this way? Now the envelope is upside down. We've inverted it. This value is less than 0. So we're going to go back to where we started, more or less. Now we also have over here the mixer send and return. The setting up this particular mixer to do a sending to an effect there's several things that you have to do, but I will just illustrate what happens when we turn the effect return down. That's the dry signal. That's why effects are nice. We could also turn it down up here. Now nothing is being sent to the effect in the first place. And what else could we do? Oh, yeah, there's this sequencer, this mixer rather, has a mute button. So if we had a whole bunch of stuff going on and we wanted to not hear this, we could click here. So that's just a small selection of the interesting things that you could do with this patch. There are lots of other things we could do with the patch that I'm not going to get into. But in the final video in this 3-video series for this month's column, we will use the strip module to add another voice to the sequence, which will make it much more interesting, I hope. So stick around. I'll see you in a minute.
Second